Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edge Talk Radio. My name is Angela Zabel, that's me, and today we are going to be talking about being unstuck, being unstoppable, releasing blocks with energy coach Joy Baker from Canada. So I can't wait for you to meet her at a more personal level and get into the show. But before we do that, who am I? My name is Angela Zabel. I have been connected to spirit my entire life, working with a team in the non-physical. I'm also a teacher, coach, medium, radio show host, retreat host. I also offer guidance, mediumship, intuitive readings, and online engagements. So go ahead and check out more about me on angelazabel.com. And also, just a reminder, I also have the monthly membership, the Amplified Universe, as we are all here amplifying our universe now. And this is about who are we? How can we grow? How can we navigate the world we're in? So check out more at angelazabel.com. And today, who are we here with? We are here. If I get this centered, I'll be good. We are here with Edge Magazine. Edge Magazine is the leading events and media resource dedicated to all aspects of holistic living, health, and wellness, and the mysteries beyond. Sharing information, wisdom, and resources committed in promoting businesses, organizations, and individuals who support our collective journey to wholeness and balance. They're currently distributed in 30 states and Canada with over 17,000 magazines per printing, and they also have a vibrant online magazine with over 42,000 people reached per month. You can have the magazine shipped to your door, stay up to date with the newsletter, or become a drop spot. And also, there's also the Being Curious show with Kelly Wagner, who also owns the magazine, that is also out there. So make sure to check out the Being Curious show. You can find out more information on edgemagazine.net. And then today, we are here with Joy Baker. Joy excels at supporting individuals with becoming unstuck and freeing themselves so they can live a more fulfilled and creative life. Since we're rarely taught as children how to process and let go of emotions that are limiting us, those emotions can become stuck in our bodies at a cellular level, limiting us. If you're ever gone through any of this trauma in your life, such as a car accident, a relationship breakup, loved ones dying, loss of employment, physical, sexual, emotional abuse, or more, chances are you haven't known how to deal with the emotional aftermath of those events. Those emotions can become stored in the body. Once that happens, you can develop attachments to those limiting feelings and unconsciously create scenarios in your life that can cause feelings such as anxiety, and there's a lot of anxiety going on right now, fear, shame, guilt, anger, overwhelming, etc., to repeat over and over again. The first step to becoming self-empowered is awareness. Once you become aware of what's limiting you, it can then be released and cleared. After spending the first part of her life training horses, Joy eventually realized it was time to move on. After years of soul searching and intensive inner work, she has developed the ability to read the emotional energies we each carry within us and now specializes in energy clearings and activations. Our energy field is unique to each of us. Joy excels and has been excels at identifying the emotional energy within your field, releasing what has been keeping you stuck and limited, and then activating the new earth energies, and there are a lot of them here, that are ready for you to feel and embody. After listening and experiencing Joy's clearings and activations, many have reported feeling renewed and ready to experience the joys of life again, and we all need more joy in our life. And Joy is here to remind us that each of us have a high value, regardless of what we've been through and have done and or have experienced. So make sure to check out more about Joy on courageinaction.com. She's also on Facebook, Instagram as Courage in Action, and so much Joy Baker, and some of those links will also be down below. And Joy, I am so happy you're here today. And I've got to ask, how did you go from working with horses, doing in the regular world as we call it, to then
Hmm.
moving over into energy? How did that happen? And thank you so much
Yeah,
for
it's
being here.
it's been a process. Well, thank you for so much for having me on your show, Angela. And yeah, well, very much unlike you, like you said, you've always been connected to the spirit world. I wasn't. I was completely shut down. I felt nothing. I was pretty much numbed out. I used to call myself, now they call them more zombies, but I used to call myself once I started on the path and I realized how numbed out I was, one of the Walking Dead, because I just, the blank eyes. So I was very, very immersed in that 3D consciousness. Like that's all I knew. It was all I remembered. It was, and I when I was with the horses, I got introduced to somebody there. It was actually one of our exercise riders, and he was into personal growth. So I started to get introduced to it that way. And there were a few things with like physically, we were working 7 days a week and I couldn't do that anymore. And, work that hard physically. And my 8-year relationship was falling apart. The biggest thing though, I think the horses, I'd always had that emotional connection with them. I mean, I loved horses. I'm sure that was the first word I spoke was horse. But the racetrack, the whole, atmosphere on the racetrack, I think this was happening a lot, at least in North America, but things were changing from more family oriented to business, and so it was just the emotional connection between being, hurt most of the time and stressed and the relationship falling apart. The emotional connection with the horses wasn't there any longer. And then when this, fellow I met on the racetrack said, started to talk about personal growth and the power of the mind, and that I started to get into it. And actually, the very first workshop I took, I'd taken like an afternoon one before that and read a lot of books on the power of the mind, but it was the Tony Robbins Fire Walk. And that was actually 30 years ago this month. And I took the Tony Robbins Fire Walk, and I didn't plan on walking on fire. I didn't think it was possible, but I wanted to take the workshop. But then when I got there and he led us through all the processes about like visualizing, and when we were walking on fire, it was cool moss, cool moss. We were all chanting cool moss so that the mind we weren't seeing like walking on fire. We were walking on cool moss. And so that kept me going for a long time through leaving the racetrack, the horses, the relationship, like knowing the power of we have within ourselves. Yeah, that just kept me going for the longest time. And that was about 30 years ago. And then I read the book Celestian Prophecy, and in that I learned about energy fields that connected us, and that was really the start of once I realized energy connects us, it was like everything started to make sense. We're not all individual, even though the five senses say, everything is separate. But and then I just got more and more into energy work and everything I could. I've gone through 2 bankruptcies, so I, have never, and that was a worthiness issue. I just didn't think I was worthy enough to make much money. So the reason I brought that up, I never really had much money to spend on personal growth and workshops and that. But the internet, this was now 28 years ago, was starting to come out. So I would just look everything up on the internet, and I found so many healing techniques that way. Then I volunteered at a lot of workshops, but so it was, I learned that way. And I had an amazing mentor the first about 15 years on the path off and on. He was just amazing. He was actually the one taught me about chakras. I walked in for a therapy session and said, I was just reading about energy in this book. And he's like, oh, well, here, I'll teach you about chakras. And that was, and so, yeah, he was just amazing. And he taught me, quantum physics, all of that. And I knew I wanted to be a coach. And then as I learned about energy, I'm like, okay, I want to work with energy, because I realized, Angela, that to really get the core and transform and change something, you've got to get to the energy of it. And I experienced it myself, and that's what I wanted to support others with. So here I am now.
I love that. And I love the fact that the very first thing you did was the fire walk. I didn't realize they actually took you on the over the fire walk when they did that. Like, wow, talking about jumping in with both feet.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think I'm
It's,
kind of a little nervous with that one.
well, yeah, at first, like I said, I remember sitting about a month before I went, sitting and having coffee with somebody and saying, oh, I'm not going to walk on fire. I just want to hear what he has to say. It was 2.5, almost 3 days. And that night when we got there and he was doing the visualizations, and we went out twice to see the bonfire, see it burning and that. And, and 1,500 people there. I was
Wow.
one of the first in line. There was 4 lines of fire. And I went from somebody who's like, that can't happen, that's not possible, to the only reason was in the first person to walk in line, I had to wait for my partner because we had to get into partners and,
Oh,
at the workshop to support each other. And yeah, so it was that, yeah, it was to launch off my personal growth, journey. That was a perfect thing.
wow. That is a heck of a, I always find it amazing to listen to what the first thing people did. And I gotta say, I'm impressed with your first one.
Yeah, walking on fire. Yeah, yeah,
Would not have been my first choice.
it was a powerful experience, that's for sure.
Awesome. I love it. And I do love the fact I want to go back. They're my team. For those of you who don't know, I work with a team and then on physical, and they're saying they want us to go back to cover something what you have mentioned in there also. It was going through the bankruptcies and knowing it was a self-worth issue. And this is something they want to dive in a little bit deeper because there's so many people. It's fear. We live in a monetary world, and right now there's a lot of things monetarily going on. And as you work through that, was there a time where you were going through it and then realizing like the energy connects with your worthiness with the money? At what was there a point in there? Was it a gradual awakening or was it an aha moment? And because you shifted it immensely since then,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
immensely.
Yeah. And I used to be super shy, like painfully shy. I wouldn't talk to anybody. And well, I read the book, The Energy of Money, in that was actually, and when did I read that? That was just before I went to, because I took counselor training, so it was just for that. So it was in 1999, the summer of 1999. So I knew then that, emotions and money and they all work together. But I just felt so, well, worthless in my life. And because I'd gone through a lot of abuse growing up and such as well. And I didn't think I could make money. And plus leaving the horses, everything was about horses growing up. I mean, I talked, I slept, I worked with horses. It was just horses. So getting out of that lifestyle, well, I knew I had to move on. I didn't think I could do anything else. So my go-to survival job was telemarketing. I did a lot of cold calling. Not that I liked it, but it always put, money on, like food on the table, and sometimes just barely put food on the table. But fortunately, I was never homeless. But until I remember saying to my mentor once, and he knew I wanted to be a coach, and I did some pretty intense work on myself. And saying to him once, well, how can I, improve my financial situation? He says, start charging for your services. And he was telling me this. I mean, this was several years before I started doing this full time. But the thought of actually charging, it was like, who's going to believe me? Who's going to want to work with me? Like, what do I have to offer? All that stuff we think of.
Yeah.
And it was my money situation didn't start to really change until it was September 2015. I was working a job that let me fly throughout Canada, like work in different places. And I came back I've been gone about 3 weeks, and I came back and I said, okay, it's time. And I did, I struggled for the first year, absolutely, because I didn't have any money. But then I got on my first show, September 2016. And ever since then, it was believing in myself. It was believing in myself, recognizing my value, the value in what I have to offer. But more than that, it was being willing to walk through a ton of fear. Because it's
Mm.
one thing to work through it, but then to actually take action and believe in myself and create from that. Along this whole path, I've been doing it full time now for almost 10 years, and there's just a wall of fear. But on the other side of that fear, believing in yourself, valuing yourself, choosing kindness, that's one thing I had to learn is rather than beating myself up when I feel I haven't done something right or good enough or I've messed up or something, rather than beating myself up, I'm kind to myself. So consciously choosing that has been huge. And but yeah, if somebody is, and I was just thinking about this morning because I've been getting a few clients saying, I've got everything in place, but the clients aren't coming yet, or the money's not showing up. And I don't know if I've specifically asked them this question, but if somebody's stuck, I would say, what is your biggest fear? And that's what you need to walk into. That's where you need to take action. Because on the other side of that is freedom and abundance.
I love that. And it really boils down to fear a lot of times with fear. And fear holds us back because fear is also we're believing a belief that's in there. We're believing something and it's making us fearful. And a lot of us, honestly, the unworthiness is rampant around the
Mhm.
world. And it's for us to step in and understand you're not the only one. There's a lot of people working through this, and to know everyone is worthy of everything they desire and moving towards it. And that's one of your key points is you are so good at discovering the blocks, discovering what they are and helping people work through it. And my team is just saying they just want you to know thank you for being that person because a lot of people identify the blocks but don't help on what they can do to move beyond it. And that is something you do so well. I just feel from them, they're just saying they want you to understand how important and what a huge role you have been playing creating the world that people are really looking for, the world that people want to live in going forward. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you to your team.
And they're also asking, as you've moved through this, you have worked on identifying the blocks in your own life. And when you identified the unworthiness in your own life, was there a process or something you used? Was it just the identification? But what did you use to identify it, but then move beyond it to, as you say, making the unstuck and going into unstoppable?
That's a good question. I mean, it's been from the time I left the horses to I started doing this full time was 20 years. So it was a long process. And but I think I had a vision. I remember that one of the first workshops I went to was Bob Proctor, You Were Born Rich. It was a video workshop. And I just left the racetrack at that time. And I went to this workshop and Bob talked about a vision. And I'm like, oh, never heard of that before. And he says, write it out. So we did that right in the workshop. We wrote out this vision. Well, by then I was starting to feel the difference it was making to me, this kind of, personal growth and such. So I wrote out that I wanted to be a coach. I didn't think it was going to take 20 years before I finally, started that. But that was every time that was always in my mind, that vision. I want to be a coach. Like I wanted to work with people. And in order to do that, I had to believe in myself. So I think it was a process of realizing like the more aware I became, and then there were repressed memories coming up of, things I'd experienced as a kid and such. And as I went through that process, I realized that to work with others and to support others, I had to believe in myself. But that was like the guiding light, having a vision, having a vision of how I wanted to live my life. I wanted to inspire people. If I could sum everything up, it's to inspire people and to also support them in showing them their own power so that they can understand their own divine power within themselves. And as I mean, there was the repressed memories were around sexual abuse I experienced growing up. And as those came up, it was 8-year process. So that was 8 years of my life. That was pretty
Wow.
intense. So I would get knocked down. And every time, and that's happening a lot, especially right now, people are getting knocked down. I mean, mine was repressed memories, but it might be losing a job or hearing the news or something like that. People just keep getting knocked down. When you have some kind of vision, something you can move forward to, you're going to pick yourself back up and say, you know what, I do deserve more. And I really learned, and this is an ongoing process, to speak with kindness and encouragement and support towards myself. And that's, in fact, I was just saying to somebody the other day, they were talking about an experience they had that had kind of, I guess you could say, blindsided them a little bit, and they were getting down on themselves. And I said, themselves. And I said, no, this is an opportunity for you to, the universe is giving you an opportunity right now. You can do what you've always done and beat yourself up and be hard on yourself, or you can consciously choose to uplift yourself and upgrade your frequency by being kind to yourself and choose words that support yourself and encourage yourself. But I want her to be really clear. The universe is giving you an opportunity. If you mess up, like I remember a client saying a while ago, well, I messed up, I deserve to beat myself up. I'm like, no, this is the universe is giving you an opportunity to turn this around and start to build yourself up and choose yourself and choose to be kind to yourself. And so back to the question, it was just a process of that. It was all the little things. And realizing that if I had to sum up my journey, I would say it's been about, like for so many of us on the path, taking my power back, like my divine power, and understanding the difference between patriarchal power and divine power, and taking that divine power back, grounding into it, aligning with it, and then believing in myself. And
So
also, I just want to mention too, it's been a matter of realizing that some people are going to be attracted to my energy and words, of course, but words are only 7% of our communication. So some people are going to be attracted to my energy and other people aren't. And that's okay. That's okay.
that's something huge right there because especially as you're doing personal growth, your energy is going to be shifting and people that you may have had in your life for a long time won't be there anymore, but you're also
Hmm.
going to be drawing in other people. And that's something a lot of people, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people are afraid if they make changes in their life, they're going to lose the people around them. Is there something you let people know or something, a way you explain for them when I've heard it time and time again, people are so afraid if I make changes, I'm going to lose these people. What do you say to that?
That's a really good point. Again, well, I've got to go back to the vision. I think a vision is everything. And so if somebody's in a situation right now, maybe because there's a lot of this going on around the world, different, thinking, different way of looking at something that can cause division in friendships, families, and such. And how do you want to feel? This, I just want to make sure this came in a few times. So how do you want to feel? Are the people you're around, are you uplifted? Are you feeling uplifted? Do you feel good about yourself? Do they support and encourage you? And if you can say, no, but I'm used to having them around or I'm used to being around them, then how do you want to feel? And we've all had those moments where you feel really uplifted and happy and joyful and connected and engaged. If that's how you want to feel, like you said there, Angela, yes, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to be around these people any longer. I want to make these changes and it's going to cause these people to not be in my life any longer, then what kind of people do you want to be around? What kind do you want to be around and interact and have connections with people who are uplifting, authentic, you have heartfelt connections, amazing, uplifting conversations with? What if you could live life from that place?
Mm,
And I would also, if somebody, is saying that, and that's a big thing, why people will stay where they are is the fear of being alone. The fear
yeah.
of being alone is, or like feeling lonely, a little bit different than being alone and feeling lonely. And, feeling lonely, a lot of people will stay where they're at and believe and act and like everybody else because they don't want to feel, that feeling of loneliness. But how can I do a bit of clearing here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what if that feeling of loneliness and the fear of feeling lonely is keeping you stuck and limited and in fear? Okay, so it's keeping you stuck in fear. Ah, there you go. Even just acknowledging that. Yeah, there's some relaxation. Okay, now there's some anger coming up. The anger is coming up as the fear is being released. There's anger behind that. So we're going into unconscious conditioning. There's anger behind that that's been keeping you stuck. And then you're, Okay. And now, okay, as we go further, and now we're going into the, uh, like it's a fear of being alone. Okay, so now some beliefs and thoughts are coming up. So if you change and the people in your life change as well, then you're afraid that who will I be around? Who will want to be around me? Am I worthy? Am I worthy of having, other uplifting, encouraging, supportive, authentic people and connecting with them? And so here's some worthiness issues coming up. So let's witness that. There you go. You just released the tension from your solar plexus there. There's a bit of happiness coming up. Okay, so now there's some shame. And the shame is, so this is like the not enough core belief. And most people on the planet actually have this not enough belief. It affects us in many ways. And one of the ways is if I change and I'm no longer around these people, or these people don't want to be around me, then what if I'm not enough? What if I'm not worthy enough? What if I don't have enough to offer to attract people in my life that I do want to be around? There you go. And that's a fear. That's a big fear coming up there. There you go. Just letting that go. There, your heart just opened up. I just felt your heart and your heart chakra open up. Okay, there's some happiness. There you go. There's some gratitude. Okay, so take a deep breath in. Let that go. Okay, there, just a little bit of clearing there. So I just want to finish up with what came in right at the end there, and that was gratitude. And that is really powerful way for, let's say somebody is like, I have to change, or this is what I believe and this is what they believe. But I don't, I'm afraid of feeling alone. Vision the kinds of people you'd like to have around you, that you'd like to connect with, you'd like to interact with, whether in person or online. Like a lot of interactions are online now, and give gratitude for that. So I am, those are the words of creation. So I am so grateful to be connected and surrounded with people who are uplifting, authentic, genuine. We have heartfelt, amazing, encouraging conversations. After these conversations, I'm inspired. There's new ideas coming in. I am so grateful. Thank you, universe. Thank you, source. And that is really, yeah, I can just feel that just kind of move the energy, increase the frequency there. And that's one of the ways to create your desires and your visions and what you're yet desiring in your life. And then that way, change is still scary. I mean, change is scary, absolutely. Acknowledge that change is scary, but it's not quite as scary. It gives you the courage to take that action.
And I think that's so key is giving people the courage to take the action. And a lot
Mhm.
of people come in and, they say, well, I must be the only one experiencing this. I've got to be the
Mhm.
only one. And knowing I think every time I've heard that, there's so many that have all said the same thing over and over
Mhm.
again. And it's knowing you're not alone, but it is that change and knowing how to move through it. That's the biggest thing. That's the one thing you are so very good at is helping people move through it, helping people understand what the block is and to identify it and release it. So important. And as you've been doing this, so you started out kind of just learning, understanding, and then I keep there, my team is just saying, and then you got to the point where you were doing sessions with people, but still feeling unworthy as you weren't charging for them right away. And and you did this for a while of not charging, is what they're telling me. That you did this for a while. And they're saying then it got to the point where you were feeling unworthy again because you weren't being recognized for the impact you were having. And they're also saying that when that started happening, was it your soul speaking to you? Was it your team speaking to you? Was it people outside of you speaking to you that really started shifting your perception of yourself that you were worthy of charging, worthy of what you were doing, and knowing you were offering something extremely important and with so much value?
Mhm. I I don't know if it was anybody outside of me. I mean, there was the mentor in the beginning that I followed off and on for 15 years, and he was a big influence in my life. And like I said, I remember I had those repressed memories, and I
Hmm.
remembered them for 4 years. That was 2000, 2004. And then it went kind of, I guess, quiet, if you will, for about 5, 6 years that I thought was done with the repressed memories. Then they started coming up in 2010 to 2014 again, and I kept getting knocked down. I mean, suicidal and such, and knocked down. And I would get back on the path and feel pretty good, start to feel good about myself. Something else would come in, another memory, and I'd get knocked down again. And this was like months. It would take me months to start to feel good about myself again. But I remember in 2014, and I don't remember exactly when it was. I forgot about it till I went, came in one day that I said this, but it was 2014. So it was a year before I started doing this full time. And I said to the universe, you know what, universe, because we learn our life lessons through either pain or pleasure. Most people learn them through pain. And I
Yeah.
said to the universe, I said, you know what, I'm done learning my life lessons through pain. I'm ready to start learning them through pleasure. And so I don't need to remember this anymore. I know it happened. Like it took me 8 years really to really believe it happened and who it was and such. And it was like I said to the universe, I said, I know this happened. I believe in it and I'm ready to move forward from this. I don't need these memories anymore knocking me down. I'm ready to move forward, like live life from a place of pleasure rather than pain. And that was when things started to change. And it was around, I would say around a year after that, I said, okay, it's time to do this full time. And so I don't know if it was, Brad, you forget the exact question now.
It was more of you and that you're answering the question because it's when did you was it a process going through it and that's what you're showing is it's a process going through of you releasing and knowing you're worthy and you stepping into yourself and charging for your services, knowing you are worth it. And they want me to dive in a little bit deeper because there are a lot of people that come through with physical and emotional abuse in a lot of different ways. And you had said that you went through it and said, okay, now I'm done with that. I'm going to move on. Was that, and I know you said you went through it for a while. And my team is just saying a lot of people may look at it and say, well, it seems so easy to do. Was it an easy process? Was it something of just acknowledging and continually working on it? How did it go for you?
You mean the memories and remembering and stuff? Oh,
And moving through it.
yeah, it was not whatsoever. It was not easy. I mean, that was just, it was terrifying and it was soul crushing remembering it. And yeah, in 2010, I almost committed suicide. Like I was really close to it. I had the means and such. And so, yeah, there was nothing easy, but I know talking about it, it sounds easy, that I'm here now, but it was, I made a decision in 2010 when I almost committed suicide and I was close to it, it was one evening but there was just maybe 5% of me that was still conscious. Like I could, and this was after 15 years of being on the path. So I wasn't just starting out and I had a lot of tools. And I said to God, I said, if you, so I don't really remember the exact words, but if you let me stay on this planet, I promise I will do everything I can to make a difference.
Wow.
And obviously I stayed because I'm still here. And then when I said, that's enough of the memories, because they just kept knocking me down and my life was kind of staying in place. And EFT has played a big part, emotional freedom technique, that I found that searching the internet around the beginning of 2000, I guess, 2001, 2, something like that. And to me, when I found that, that gave me the tool that anything that came up, any trauma, I could tap on it. I mean, I would spend hours tapping and I would just go deeper and deeper. So that was one energy tool that got me to where I am now. Absolutely. Without that, and doing it so intensely. And again, for anybody who's saying, well, I don't have the money to learn that. I never spent any money learning it. I just did, everything was online. And this is back in, 20 plus years ago that I
Yeah.
was learning all this. So there's so many more tools out there and people that are teaching EFT and free EFT videos. So that is a tool. Anybody who's going through, any kind of memories of abuse. And remember the abuse in what you've gone through and experienced, it doesn't define you and it does not define your worth.
Love it.
You are worth way more than your abuse. You are here for a reason. The reason, what if you have gone through or even now are currently experiencing that abuse because there's so much light and beauty and divinity within you that, call it the dark side or the dark energies or whatever you want to call it, are their job. See, they have a job, that dark energies, they have a job, they have an agenda. That is to snuff out the light. So what if you're such a powerful light being that they were instructed, if you will, to inflict that abuse upon you, but that's not who you are. It's the light within you. If you're listening to this now, the light within you is wanting to shine and is wanting to shine even more brightly. So the abuse and what you've gone through or anything that you've done, it doesn't define you now. Let that light, believe in yourself, feel good about yourself because you are worthy of feeling good about yourself. You deserve to feel good about yourself. You deserve and you are worthy of using kind words towards yourself. You're worthy and deserving of using encouraging words towards yourself, phrases. You're worthy and deserving of so much more than any, abuse or being put down or anything like that you've gone through. And you are wanted. You are wanted. And
Mm.
we know that because you're here now. Your beauty is wanted, your light is wanted, your physical self is wanted. You need to be here to be part of the awakening. You're here for a reason.
I love that because there are so many people that don't feel they're worth it. They don't feel they're wanted by anyone. And a lot of this, my team is backing me up a little bit and they want you what you had said about sometimes the people who suffer the most, as we look at it, the most horrendous abuse and the different levels of abuse is because they do shine so bright. And so snuffing that down or making that light dimmer is very important to those that want to keep that light down. So to look at yourself as you are so bright, and that's why so many people are trying to dim your light and understanding your own power, how you can step forward, that is huge. That is huge for people not to take that on and go, what did I do wrong? Instead, looking, I did everything right. I was just shining so bright. They wanted to dim me.
Exactly, exactly. And if somebody's going through or has gone through a lot of abuse, what if that was your part? Whether or not you're working as a healer or a coach or doing energy work, what if what if you made um, before you came into physical incarnation, you said, I want to seed as much light and share as much light as possible in this world. But right now, there's a lot of density on the planet. So first of all, I'm going to absorb all this density. Some really lousy stuff is going to happen to me, but that's going to be so that I can, attract this density as I work through it and then release it through me. And what if, whether or not you're working as a healer full time or anything like that, by you doing your inner work, you are supporting the raising of human consciousness, of humanity's consciousness, simply by doing your inner work, by working through all that trauma and abuse. And okay, there's a caveat here I want to say though, if you are currently going through abuse, if you're putting up with abuse or being gaslit or manipulated or anything like that, it's time for you to move out of that. Because there was a time, especially, 50, 60, even 20, 30 years ago, it was necessary for us to be in that because the earth and humans consciousness was still in that density.
Yes.
But now we're in the age of Aquarius. We're moving into a more of a, we're co-creating with, the divine universe and such. And for the age of Aquarius and bringing that light in, so it's time for you to step into your light. And so if you're in a situation where up until now you've been back and forth, like I should stay here, or this is where I belong, or they need me, but you're being gaslit or manipulated or abused in any way, I mean, I don't know the specific situation, but ask yourself, is it time for me to move on? Because I came here to see the light and share my light with others and to be part of the awakening of the light.
Love that. And that's, you touch on a few points and the one is the new consciousness that's here and how it's operating differently than what it did before. And for those of you who are there, and there, my team is just saying, for those of you who don't understand the difference or are just starting to awaken to what is out there, who they are, and are listening to this and going, who am I? Can you talk a little bit about the old energy and the new energy? What is the difference between it with the consciousness now?
Yeah, sure. So what I call it is 3D, 4D, 5D. So, third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension. The third dimension, which we've been birthed into and our ancestors were, it's been here for, thousands of years. That's the heavier, denser dimension, limiting beliefs, and never having, that's where struggle exists in the 3D. And it's dark, it's heavy, and it's very constricting.
Mhm.
And you feel that in your body. If you feel heavy, if you feel down, if you feel depleted, you're existing, living in the third dimension at that time. The fourth dimension, it's like a portal between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is, I sometimes also call it the new earth. And it's where happiness, joyfulness, gratitude, fun, laughter, kindness, inspiration, creativity, abundance flows. Like when you're in the fifth dimension, you're in the flow of abundance. And the fourth dimension bridges those two. So if when you're stuck in the third dimension, if you're feeling depressed, you're stuck and the third dimension is fear-based and
Oh,
anything that aligns with fear. So if you're stuck in fear, you're stuck in the third dimension. If you're in the fifth dimension, the thread that holds that all together is divine love and anything that aligns with divine love. So happiness, the uplifting emotional field. The fourth dimension. Now, I find where many people get stuck is we've all been in the fifth dimension. When you're feeling happy, light, you're in a meditation, those are the higher dimensions. It feels, it's that place of oneness. It feels so relaxing, beautiful, just connected to the beauty and grace of all that is. We felt that. But many people don't believe like that is a real place. And why I call it the new earth, it's not that we're going to live in, I don't believe anyways, we're going to live the current population in two worlds. The new earth is physically, you also want to physically be in that place. So when you are, this is why vision is so powerful, because you're creating from those higher emotional energies. And so you see yourself interacting with others, maybe traveling, like you actually physically, you need to bring the physical into there as well. Not just feel good and feel light, but imagine physically you're walking to an event, you're driving to an event, you're living in your house. So it's like you have to imagine this, of course, at first, but you imagine bringing your physical body into that dimension. So mind, body, spirit, soul, you're in that dimension. And when you can create your vision so that I am living in this beautiful, 2-bedroom house with, or two-story, 4-bedroom house, whatever it is you're looking for, land, or whatever. And you feel that, and you feel your body's feeling light. Remember, you have to bring your body along as well.
yes.
And so that's how, so when you're in the flow, we've all had, even if it's brief moments of flow, or say when unexpected money shows up and you feel that, that joyfulness and happiness and such, that's when you're in the higher dimensions. Flow, creativity, feeling inspired, those are all, you're aligned with higher dimensions. So ask yourself which dimension. Now, we're always cycling between dimensions. We're never just in one dimension. Which dimension would you like to spend more time in? If you'd like to spend more time in the higher dimensions, feeling happy, joyful, in the flow, like allowing money to flow to you, and then receiving it, be sure you receive it as
Yeah,
well.
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It's like there it
And
goes.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, I allow it and watch
Yeah.
it. You want to receive it, absolutely. Yeah. And so decide, like, when that's the power of creating a vision. Your vision is, I am, I love interacting with people who are uplifting, who are genuine. After, the conversation, great new ideas come in. I'm seeing things with new perspectives in that. And you create from that place, you're creating in those higher dimensions. And then you see yourself actually taking the actions in those higher dimensions. And the more you do that, see, in moments of stress, we default to what we know. We default to what's familiar, which is your comfort zone. What's familiar is comforting. What's comforting is your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is the energy field you grew up in. So when you were really young. And so let's say you grew up with, there was grief and guilt and sadness, shame, anger, anxiety, all that was the primary emotions of your childhood. So you grew up in a lot of, heavy, dense emotional field. That's what you're used to, and it's what's familiar. So in moments of stress, when you're more reacting than sitting and thinking through things and working through them, in moments of stress, you will default to what's familiar, to what you know. And so that default is even though, sometimes we know emotions are toxic and dysfunctional, but we still go there because it's
Mhm.
comforting. It's your comfort zone. But we're all going to do that in a moment of stress. When something happens, let's say you get an unexpected bill, rent all of a sudden goes up, or your mortgage goes up, or car breaks down, and it's unexpected. In the moment, you will default to what you know. But the more you have a vision and you energetically, emotionally, you magnetize that, you see yourself living that vision of beauty, of grace, of uplifting connections, of amazing conversations, of feeling good, of travel, of walks in nature, whatever it is, the more you build up. So what you're doing, you're building up and enhancing that vision in the energetic space, and it takes on energetic form. So that's how you get yourself out of that really heavy, that fear-based place. Is it's like you say to yourself, okay, I'm back here, but this is what I desire. It's
Mhm.
okay, like it's okay to go back there. If you get an unexpected bill or the car breaks down and there's fear around money. I mean, I went through 2 bankruptcies, so that can come up. But when it's like my vision, just saying, okay, this happened. How do I get myself out of it? Because this is how I want to live my life. So it's like you're living in the physical world, and we're all living in the physical world, of course, but you're creating that energetic form and you're magnetizing it with your emotions. And that's how you uh, draw that closer and closer to you, and you towards that is you're magnetizing it with your emotions. Your emotions are energy and motion, they're like magnets. So, but everything first starts in energetic form. It's like, the chair you're sitting on, it was first an idea in somebody's mind and they thought about it and then they create it. So it's in the physical world now. So everything, your vision, your desires, it all starts out in energetic form. You magnetize it with your emotions. You keep visiting that and keep building up the strength of that energetic form. Every time you go back to the 3D and the fear and the density, it's like acknowledge you're there and acknowledge the fear and then say, but this is what I choose. So how do I get back to that place? How do I feel good about myself? How do I feel uplifted?
That is, I'm just going to say that is amazing for people to hear it, for people to, you put it in ways where people can understand it. And I'm just hearing from my team, they have a different sense of humor. They're saying it's not legalese, it's humanese.
That's a good point. I like that.
And they're saying with what you're doing now, and they're just saying for people who are looking at moving past trauma and not only just trauma, but just beliefs they have to use this method over and over is so important. There is so much to learn with this one. And you have touched on it different ways with the generational part. So a lot of people they're working on healing themselves, getting themselves better, moving past trauma. But what does that do for the generational energy? What type of impact is it having on that?
Oh, that's powerful. You mean like generational or ancestral healing? Yeah, that's
Yes.
so powerful because up at like we're going, I call it the Great Awakening. And there's so many people awakening right now. And they're transforming limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, limiting emotions and such. Well, that also, it's like you're saying the fear and the restriction and the limitation, that's not going to be anymore. It's like you're saying you're not putting an end to that energy, but you're just saying no to it and releasing that to the light. So when you do that, you can do it consciously for your ancestors as well. You can say, if you're doing some releasing work, say, I'm releasing this for my ancestors as well. That supports, we can still support people that have already left, like they're on the other side. We can still, there's a strong emotional connection. We do our inner work, we're also still releasing for that person so that when they come back in, they don't have to work through that particular issue. At least that's how I understand it anyways. And that's my
I
understanding.
agree. I agree wholeheartedly with everything we're doing here is having an effect, just immense effect worldwide and otherworldly on the
Mhm. Yeah,
other
absolutely. Yeah.
side.
And when you're doing, we're at a transformational point. I believe it's a most transformational point in our current lifetime.
Yeah.
Not our current lifetime, I mean the current human lifetime span. And because the way I see it, we are transforming thousands of years of energies, like beliefs, thoughts, emotions, behaviors, how we were taught to behave, all of that. And we're transforming all of that. And we're transforming that for our ancestors as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of chaos in the world. And it can be a tough time. And I mean, it can be even not just now, even before, but we're doing a lot of heavy work right now and have been, those of us that have been on the path for several years and it's, but we're also moving to, I mean, I believe it's going to be chaotic for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, for probably a few years and maybe longer, maybe less. And nobody knows exactly, but
Right.
expect the chaos, but also know we're moving to a really beautiful light time. That's what I believe. Again, I'm not saying I'm right. I don't, everybody's got their own way of seeing this, but I do believe that eventually, all this is happening for a reason. This awakening, this working through heavy, heavy, dense energy, working through the fear and such. And I believe that, again, call it the dark energies, the dark side, or whatever you want to call it. I believe the dark energies are getting desperate. And because there's so much light pouring into this planet, into humanity, people are waking up. See, as the density, as it lightens up, I saw a picture, it's coming in now, and I've seen it, I see it occasionally, where the whole Earth is surrounded by this density. So you see almost like looking at our Earth and a cloud, black cloud of density all around it. And for the past several decades, probably since about after World War II, the light workers, as they came in, started to break up that density. And every time somebody works through something and releases a generational belief or trauma or something, that creates a crack in that density, and it allows more light to come in. And now, especially the chaos we've been going through the past 5 years, the light is just starting to pour in. So yes, the dark will get more desperate, but light, see the beauty of the light, and by light, I mean love, grace, joyfulness, happiness, anything like that. It doesn't fight. It doesn't Oh, what it does, it simply is and expands. And the darkness has no choice except to recede. And that's why the dark beings and energies and entities and that are getting desperate now because they know they can't fight the light. See, when it's fear, it's attracted to that. So when you're in fear, it gives it power I mean the dark energies. But light, it can't do anything. It's like if somebody is really, I remember I used to go door to door. That was one of the jobs I had after I left the horses.
Sounds
I was
like
just
fun.
like, and I was so terrified of people still. It's a great way to get over my fear of people. And, but I was just selling coupons door to door. And I decided that I was just going to, even if they were really, grouchy, you're knocking on a stranger's door. And often it was like dinner time and after work and that. And I was going to be as happy and uplifting and joyful as I could be. And then it's like they might tell me to go away, but they can't, you can't really get angry at that. I remember walking door to door and there was a fellow in his driveway. He was watering plants or something. And I started talking to him. He was really grouchy. He was an older fellow. He was really, really grouchy. And I talked to him for about 5 minutes, was really uplifting in that. And I remember when I left, he seemed confused because I didn't match his anger and his grouchiness. It was a beautiful day. I wasn't selling anything, but it was a nice day. I was getting my exercise. And he just seemed confused. Like, why wasn't she grouchy with me? Or why wasn't she angry or annoyed with me? And it's like they can't, whether it's people or it's energy, when you don't match your energy by, well, like when you beat up yourself or you're harsh on yourself or you use words that are harsh, you're creating that energetic environment within yourself for those dark energies to align with you, to be a vibrational match for those dark energies. And that's why it's so important that you speak to yourself with kindness, with uplifting energies, with words and encouragement and such. Because when you create that inner energetic emotional environment, fear can't align with it. Like you're not a vibrational match for it. So speak to yourself with kindness and understanding and acceptance.
I love that. And that's something and I agree with you with the energy, how everything is shifting worldwide and has been for a while. Yes, there's going to be chaos, but oh my gosh, the vision on the other side. I love how you say the vision, to just keep that vision, to keep that
Mm-hmm.
in mind. Oh, that is so key to know everything we're doing. We are making such a huge impact and changing this world to something we're looking forward to seeing. I'm looking to forward to seeing how some of this turns out. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's all going to be good, but it's going to be interesting to watch, interesting to see without falling into the fear because fear is palpable. And like you said, it's there to keep us there because it doesn't want to lose that attachment. It doesn't want to lose that battle that it's holding on to and very, very diligently doing everything it can to hold on to the control over us when we have fear. And every
Mm-hmm.
time we release fear, we release that hold. And I too, I feel just that light just beaming into this world, just surrounding this world. And it's because of people like you who are helping other people see the light within themselves that's making such a huge impact. And I can't thank you enough for all you're doing because just you showing who you are and being real about yourself and as some would say exposing some things that other people would look at as, oh, I wouldn't want to ever expose that, like say going through the bankruptcy or having the suicidal thoughts. A lot of people go, why would you expose that? But this is a time to lay it out on the table and not hide anything and bring it out. And by you doing so, I just feel the fear releasing from others as they're listening to this because they're looking at it going, "Oh, I don't have to beat myself up about that. I can let it go and I can move forward." And that's because of who you are, and that's so, so important. So thank you for all you're doing there.
Thank you. And thank you, Angela, for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I love to introduce people to ones they maybe wouldn't have seen before, and for them to get to know who they are. And I just keep hearing my team just keep saying, for the people who are showing themselves as real people, not the fake stuff that so many people cover up and they're just showing, and I'm just gonna like on some of the social media, it's only showing you the best of everything. They're saying
Right.
that's what we need to know. We're people, we're working through it, and we're all doing a beautiful job with it. And that's so important. And you had talked earlier, you wanted to do some a releasing or an energy blockage. Did you still want to cover some of that?
Yeah, I would love to do that. I was just actually thinking while you were talking there, if we have time, I'm going to go into the nervous system a little bit because I can feel that that came in. There needs to be. So can I do a little bit of work?
Absolutely. It's all yours.
Okay, so just take a deep breath in. And yeah, I can feel the nervous system. It needs some calming. It's like your whole self has calmed and is relaxing, but the nervous system is stuck in a trauma. Um, okay, so I'm going to talk to everything is consciousness. So I'm going to talk to the consciousness of the nervous system. So, yes, nervous system, we see you. We understand that you have been through trauma, abuse. It has become stuck within you. Okay, and the nervous system it's exhausted. It feels like, oh, that's heavy. Feels really, really exhausted and says, okay, nervous system, we see that you want to give up. The density and everything you've gone through it's been hard on you. But what if, nervous system, you could begin to feel light again? There you go, your whole self relax. So, nervous system, just allow that energy to move within you, and any trauma, any abuse, any words, any energies, any high emotional traumatic, impactful events that you experience in your life, all the ways they became stuck within you, nervous system, and every cell of your being that is ready to release. Let's release all that stuck, heavy, dense energy, nervous system, entire self. There you go. Your mind just relaxed as well. There, your brain, it's like your brain just woke up. I felt light awakening within your brain. There you go. Okay, so now there's some shame coming up. That's being released from your nervous system. Okay, so we're releasing shame from the nervous system. There you go. There, your nervous system. It's like you just relax, like it took a deep breath in and relax. Okay, so now let's align all parts of you, mind, body, spirit, soul, every cell of your being. And we're going to call in all lost soul fragments to be here now. Let's align all parts of you with uplifting energies, happiness, joyfulness, gratitude, fun, laughter, kindness. Any part of you that believes you are not worthy and deserving of feeling good about yourself, feeling uplifted, we honor and acknowledge that part of you and allow any experiences you've had in your life that tell you you're not worthy and deserving of feeling good. Honor and acknowledge that and the experiences, and just let those go. Let those be released gently, easily, and effortlessly. There you go. There's some lightness there. There's some peace, and your nervous system is feeling very peaceful right now, at ease. You do deserve to feel good. You are worthy and deserving of feeling and being happy. You are worthy and deserving of enjoying life. So, any pain you are feeling now or have felt in the past that you are ready and willing to release, let's acknowledge that pain. It can be physical pain, emotional pain. Let's acknowledge that pain, witness it, accept the pain. It's been teaching you something. Accept the lesson and the teachings and allow that to be released so that your entire self, mind, body, spirit, soul, feels safe, relaxed, at ease, peaceful, uplifted, and encouraged. There you go. So shokabasawalaka, tukabase babaka, so shokabasawalaka, awalasa, so shokabasawalaka, so ko, so shokabasawalaka, babaka, tukabase. There you go, my friend. Namaste.
Thank you for that. That is absolutely amazing. And what you do is just beautiful. And my team wants everyone to know too that there's a lot of times I may be a proxy for people. This is for everyone out there. This is for everyone out there. Realize that this is a group healing, a releasing for so many people. This is for everyone listening.
Mhm. Well, thank you for having me on your show, Angela, and for giving me the time to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. An absolute joy for me. And you were named the exact name you needed to be. I love it.
Actually, I changed my name. I changed my name about 12, 13, 14 years ago. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I, it suits you immensely, and it is definitely what is needed for you because you bring so much joy. Joy to so many on so many levels. And I keep hearing for you is the levels beyond, the levels in the non-physical. They see what you're doing and see the light you're bringing in and they're just showing me the clouds parting and the light that you are bringing in, just streaming and hitting so many areas that have been covered in darkness that your light and your ability to allow the other light to come in has been reaching. So thank you for all you have been doing.
Hmm. Thank you to you and your team.
Awesome. And is there anything else you'd like to cover before we close today?
Just remind people that what they've gone through and experienced does not define who they are. You choose. You choose who you are and choose to be kind to yourself. You are valuable, you are worthy, you are deserving, and you're absolutely deserving and worthy of being happy, of enjoying your life, of feeling good, and being all you can be. You're here for a reason. You are the light. And we are glad. We appreciate and we are glad that you are here. That's a message for everybody.
I love that. I love that. And thank you for sharing your team and the ones who work with you because they are absolutely beautiful. I love how they're helping to shape the new world and you're allowing yourself to be that messenger for them. So thank you for all you're doing. And with that, I just want to encourage everyone to make sure to check out Joy's website. It's courageinaction.com and then also on Facebook, on Instagram, and she offers so much. So make sure to go in and check what she has and do a little more checking on her website. There's so much there to offer. So check it out. And I can't wait for you to check out more about Joy as she goes forward. And she's also got, I think you have a free Messages from Spirit ebook that is also on
Yes.
your website.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
my website.
Love it. And they're saying, and so make sure to go on her website, sign up for her email, and you can get that free Messages from Spirit on your ebook. And also, I just want to thank all of you here. I want to thank Joy so much. Thank you so much for being here, sharing who you are, sharing I just feel such beauty and love coming from you, sharing your heart. It is just amazing. So thank you for doing that. And I also want to thank all of you to make sure that you watch the next episode. They're on the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you've missed any of the past episodes, no worries. Go ahead and go on to either my YouTube channel or Edge Magazine's YouTube channel and watch any previous episodes that are there. And I just want to thank you so much, Joy. Thank you again for everything you do, for sharing your time, sharing your knowledge. I appreciate you so much. And I want to thank all of you for listening, expanding, and amplifying our universe together. Thank you all and have an absolutely amazing